You're about to see a Fix It Friday video where an idiot with very little technical skill or knowledge will attempt to fix something. This is not a how-to video and is likely to be factually incorrect and at times dangerous. Please don't copy Kip and see this video for limited entertainment purposes only. Roll titles.
Welcome to the channel if it's your first time here, and welcome back if it's not. Now in today's Fix It Friday, we're going to be looking at this. And I think it's pretty clear what the problem is with this Game Boy Pocket. I think it's the polarizing filter on the screen is sort of burnt, I think, essentially. And yeah, it's left a sort of quite a horrible stain on the screen. And the Game Boy works. Let me just power it on for you. I mean, yeah, it works. It's not very playable. Now, this obviously isn't in an original Game Boy Pocket shell. This is James's console and he chose this shell for it. But yeah, it needs a new screen. And when he got it, I did have recollections of Vince repairing a Game Boy or a Game Boy Pocket that had a screen in a similar sort of condition to this. And I was like, oh, yeah, I think Vince fixed it. And I actually went back and looked at the video and saw the sort of hell Vince went through to get it sort of working. Yeah, sod that. It just looked ridiculously hard. And I ain't got no time for that. So I found something on AliExpress that might be able to help. And yeah, it's just a replacement screen kit. It's a bit like the one that I did in the original Game Boy DMG. Now, it is slightly more involved, I think, than the Game Boy one I did. So yeah, it's not as easy breezy. And also, I don't feel like the instructions available are as good. So hopefully, if you're watching this video and you found it because you bought one of these on AliExpress and you don't know how to install it, hi, I'm Kip, welcome to my channel. Maybe consider subscribing, that would be very helpful, thank you very much. And I think also there's some kind of touch sensor as well that we can install, that we bring up a menu maybe. As I say, the documentation on this isn't very good, and the only installation guide that I found is actually on the sort of Chinese version of YouTube called Billy.
这些东西直接平铺开啊，就以我目前这样的安装的话，就是屏幕正面，然后这个
It's not in English and it's slightly sped up as well. It's very weird. But yeah, so there's not very many instruction guides on how to install this. So hopefully we'll make one today. And there might be some periods of time where I make mistakes and go wrong. And hopefully you will learn from those mistakes. But I think before we do anything, we've got to get into this Game Boy. And whilst I'm dismantling this, I'm going to shout out all the awesome people that have become subscribers to my channel on Facebook or have become channel members to my channel on YouTube. Subscribing is actually free on YouTube, but it's not on Facebook. It's very silly. I don't want to go into it. It's too long and complicated. But doing either of those things means that you help financially support this channel and means I can buy stuff like this and do things like this. So yeah. But if you can't afford to join, then please don't feel like you have to at all. Just hitting the like button and subscribing to my channel really does help a lot. So yeah, while I disassemble this, let's give a shout out to all those awesome people who've already joined. So first up, we've got our Facebook subscribers who are Rebecca and Tom. Then over on Patreon and YouTube, we've got our Kip fans who are Matt Lovies, JRC Electrical for the Burbs, Wayne Cornish, Mike Cass, Rob Lynn, Scott Made a Thing and Michael Wood. Then you have to get up early to defeat the early birds who are Dean Ball, Sean at Cablesmith Electrical, Wayne's World of Gaming, Tim Soul, Sorcerer Stan and Mark C. I love these guys so much. They are the Kip lovers and they are Bella Webster, Stez Stixfix, Lawrence and Scott Kendall. And finally, we've got our gorgeous Kip Nutter who is Becky Boobar. Thank you, Becky, for all your support and big love to everyone on Facebook, Patreon and YouTube. There we go. You can see just how bad things are at the moment. That's not good. So now we need to take this board out. Oh, it's got these little clips at the side. As you can tell, I've never dismantled one of these before, so I'm learning with you. Oh no. Oh, okay. What did I say about making mistakes? It's actually part of the game card connector. That's fine, we live and learn. It's obviously just sort of pushed in there quite tightly. But this does make this relatively easy to work on. So first of all, I think what we should do is make sure our replacement screen is working correctly and test everything. So we need to disconnect our old screen. So if we push up that, and just free up this. So bye-bye old screen. Here is a new screen. We'll keep the protective film on it for now. Right, so this is our new driver board, and helpfully says that our LCD screen should go in here, and then this says game, which is going to go to the Game Boy side. So we've got to push our ribbon cable in like so, and then press this down to lock it. Here, so this is the sort of replacement screen gasket, and this helps hold the screen in place. I think it's sort of sticky on both sides. And this, I think, strip is used for sort of keeping everything straight and in line. It goes on the side of the screen, I think. We'll work that out in a mo. And yes, this is our ribbon connector, which goes from our new display board to our Game Boy Pocket. Actually, something that I haven't done is I haven't told you the cost of this kit. Now, I found this kit on AliExpress and it was round about £35, which I think is pretty good value, assuming it'll work. It'll work, it'll be fine, Kip. And then, finally, this goes into our Game Boy Pocket. Boop, lock it into place. So we've got almost like a kind of human centipede Game Boy Pocket thing. So if we just power it on the bench power supply, we can just double check that everything works and we know what we're doing. So we need just 3 volts. Right, no, I got that wrong. So I think the black side needs to be up like that. Fingers crossed I haven't done anything catastrophic here, but that's why I make these mistakes, so you don't have to. Okay, right. So now, hopefully, success. Power lights on. I wonder if this wire needs to be connected. Yes, it does. There we go. Right, okay. So now let's just put in a game and turn it on. So this wire needs to go to the positive battery terminal. Obviously some kind of external power for the screen. Nope. I think we've just got a dirty cartridge on our hands. There we go. Nice. Looks better already, doesn't it? Perfect. Amazing. Now that little line down the screen is just a line on the strip. There's no actual line on the screen. Let's just make sure it goes into demo mode. Lovely. Cool. So that is why this is good to have a guide like this, because, you know, we wouldn't know otherwise. So to the screen, have the gold up, but then at the bottom, we have the gold down and the black up. And yes, we've got to wire this in to the positive battery terminal. Cool, right. Okay. So just move that to one side for now. And we've got to get the screen installed into the case. Let's have a little look at how that goes. So it sort of goes something like this. So we seem to have a bit of a different setup than what I was expecting. Now this is because this is a replacement case. So yeah, it doesn't lay flat. So I think I've got to remove these two guys here at the bottom. I have seen something about needing to trim the case, so I assume it's these guys here. Because yeah, we've got some pins sort of at the top that this kind of fits into. There's one on this side that actually makes it line up quite square, but it's just these guys at the bottom seem to be right in the way. So I feel like those have got to go. Yes, that's much better. Perfect. Okay, so I've popped the center out of this sticky thing. So we don't need this, but this gasket needs to go sort of inside the case. And you can sort of see at the bottom there's a little cutout. And yeah, this is going to be holding our screen in position. Now, it's obviously really important on this bit to not get any fingerprints or smudges on the glass, because then we're going to put this on and yeah, it's going to be a bit of a pain. Now, obviously, because this is a third-party case, and I think it's actually designed to have screen kits put on, if you've got an original case, you might need to chop away other bits as well. And also, I've seen on original cases, you see there's this raised bit here that actually goes all the way along. You have to use this black sticker to sort of butt up on the side of it, but because I've only got this tiny little point here, I don't actually need that. But if you have an original case, you'll need to put that sort of like at a 90-degree angle like that. These cases are designed to make the installation of LED screen kits a little bit easier. So I've just peeled off one side of the backing thing. I'm also just going to start it on this corner, because I think once it's in position, it's going to be harder to get a start. So there we go. So now I've got to take the backing off this side, and then carefully, he says, get it positioned. Excuse my head. That has gone delightfully. Right, I think what I'm going to do now is quickly just rip off this top bit and then get this screen in position. Alright, so now it's really important to take the protective film off. Now obviously you don't want to squish the screen and apply so much pressure that you break something, but equally it's got to be pressed down. To give that glue a sort of fighting chance, I'm going to pause for a second, or well, a second for you guys, but a couple of hours or so for me, just so this glue's had time to hold the screen in position, because I think once we start bending this up and then putting the other board in, then we might be sort of jiggling things around a little bit. So yeah, let's let the glue do its magic, and we'll be back in a mo. Well, it's actually the following day now, and the display is very much in position. I actually left it a little while because I fixed my little boo-boo that I made here on the game cartridge slot. So yeah, I let the glue that I repaired that with set overnight. So yeah. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually stick this circuit board down with a bit of double-sided tape, just because I don't really want it flapping around. So if I use a bit of double-sided tape, this is completely optional, but I think it's a good idea. So yeah, I'm just going to get a small bit of double-sided tape and stick the PCB down, and then it won't sort of rattle around or anything like that. This is really good double-sided tape, but it is a pig to get the top layer off because it's so sticky. I put it down, use a craft knife. Right, so now we've just got to get this little touch sensor in position. I think what I'm going to do is just use a bit of Captain tape and just press it down. You could just leave it floating there really and not worry about it. I don't entirely know what you can do and access from the little touch thing. As I said earlier, documentation on these things is very kind of scarce. And you know, sometimes it can just be in Chinese, which is fine if you're Chinese. That should be fine. Right, so now we put the other board back in position. Lovely, and then we just fold down the ribbon cable. Get it back in the original slot. Perfect. So now we just need to connect this wire to the positive battery terminal. So I think if I just thread it down here, I think the instructions say like you could just wrap it round the terminal. You could. Right, okay, so yeah, I've got to maybe trim off a bit of the end and then just solder it down onto here somewhere. There we go. Sort of soldered on there. Give it a tiny clean. Yeah, that's not too bad at all. Not too bad at all. There we go. So now, make sure that your switch is in position and hasn't fallen out. There we go. Fits together perfectly. Let's get these screws in, and then we should be good to go. As ever, when you're screwing these things back together and you've got sort of metal screws into plastic, if you go the opposite way to start with, they make a little click sound, and that's when you know to start screwing the other way, and just means that you don't cross thread, because especially with these kinds of cases where, you know, they're third party and the screws might not be as good as the original, yeah, if you just go the opposite way until it clicks and then screw in. And it'll be perfect every time, I guarantee it. I'm actually really pleased with how this has gone. It's quite an easy kit to install. I mean, obviously there was a bit less cutting for me because this kit was sort of designed for alternative screen solutions in the first place. Get the batteries in. Right, is it going to work? I mean, it should do. Should do. I hate this bit. Ah, the battery wasn't in properly. Oh my god, that's amazing. Does the touch thing do anything? Oh yeah, look. Oh nice. So it cycles through different screen modes and different color choices. Excellent. Okay, so it changes the brightness and it changes different color palettes. Nice. That's so cool. Okay, so yeah, you can sort of pick what you want. I quite like the green. So I'm guessing does the contrast wheel do anything? No, the contrast wheel doesn't do anything now. That's fine. I was so worried for a second there. Oh man, right, so yes, look at that. Yeah, and the picture's all sort of square and nothing's gone off the screen. Now the problem is with this particular Game Boy is the rubbers are a bit perished, so I have actually ordered some new rubbers. Mario Land 2 is awesome. Now apparently the screen backlight will flash when the battery level's low. I don't know if that's a feature or a bug, but that's what the instructions say. And there probably is a better place to tap the 3 volts off the board, but I guess they've just told you to get it from the battery connector because it just makes life easier. I'm really pleased with that. That is a great transformation, isn't it? You can't argue with it. It just looks amazing. And I mean, you know, this is what we were looking at before. Yikes. There is a way of dismantling these and taking out the polarizing filters, but it's just a real hardcore job. And I think there's glue that you've got to scratch off. So yeah, really for sort of a bit over 30 quid, what a nice little mod. And yeah, I didn't actually use the supplied screen glass. I just used the one that was with the case already, and that seemed perfect. Now I will say, when you're looking out for these mods, do beware, because some of them, I think this is a 2.6 inch screen mod. I'm going to put on the screen the right dimensions, but there are ones of these that are very similar, but they actually come with a lot smaller screens, so you don't get the sort of big screen effect that the Game Boy Pocket had, because although it's actually smaller in size, I think the screen is that much bigger. But yeah, there is an alternative version, I think, that's got like a 2.4 or 2.2 inch screen, and it comes with a glass that's got a lot smaller cutout. So make sure you're getting the right one, because you don't, although the screen is better, you don't really want to downgrade to a lot smaller screen, and it does look a little bit weird having the big bezel. Well, there you go. I am over the moon with this transformation, and another great little product that I picked up from AliExpress. I'll make sure I put a link in the video description to the one that I've used, and also if I find any codes or stuff for you to use as well to get some money off, I will make sure those are there. So, oh man, I'm really pleased, and I hope you've enjoyed this video too. But I don't have anything else to say, so thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, but for now, it's game over.